It's 43 days to the presidential and parliamentary elections. Good afternoon and welcome to Election Brief with me, Emefa Akosia Adeti. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, all social media handles and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Election headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol Platinum Energy, Energizing Dreams, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants are together as the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants, German Ozone Medical Center, Alternative Therapy, Dental, Wellness, and Beauty, Chopbox Technologies, a convenient service, and Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging the gap for positive youth development. Over the week, Ghana's parliament has been full of drama following the decision of 4 members of the House to contest the upcoming parliamentary elections on a ticket different from what they represent in the current parliament. Now, they include 2 NPP members of parliament, 1 independent MP, and the NDC MP. Now, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumana Bagbin, upon receiving a petition from the NDC caucus, declared the 4 seats vacant on the premise that the current occupants have defected by filing to contest the next election on different tickets. Now, this led to enormous contention, drama, and the show of supremacy in and outside of Parliament. My colleague Nana Bwachi Yadom has a wrap plus the opinion of political scientists in this report.
There's a lot happening, a lot happening.
What came to mind? Your days in basic school? Exactly so. But this is not your basic school. This is the 8th Parliament of Ghana. But how did we get here? It's been twists and turns, all triggered by the former minority leader Haruna Idrisu, who led the NDC caucus to petition the Speaker of Parliament to remove 4 MPs, the NPP MP for Agona West, Cynthia Morrison, and Suhum MP, Kojo Asante, as well as Amenfi Central MP Peter Yakwachiaka of the NDC, and Formenes Andrew Lesiamo Amwako, an independent MP from the legislature, for holding allegiance to entities different from what they represent in the current parliament.
And this must happen if there is constitutional and legal propriety in Ghana, because any nuanced interpretation of Article 97 provides that if a member of parliament on a political party ticket like NPP defects and fails to be independent, that MP ceases to be member of parliament.
The petition was tabled on the strength of portions of Article 97 of the Constitution, asserting that those provisions of the Constitution abhorred the switch in allegiance midway through the parliamentarian's tenure. The Speaker agreed, stating his ruling that the relevant MPs had, by their action, vacated the seats in Parliament.
These MPs cannot be allowed by law and my good self to continue to pretend to be representing people that they don't believe in and they don't have any loyalty for in this House any longer. The House is accordingly so informed.
This is where the drama started. The NPP caucus decided to fight the Speaker's declaration with legal action, filing a stay of execution in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, led by Chief Justice Gertrude Tukono, unanimously stayed the Speaker's ruling.
What they did was evil. What they did in Parliament yesterday was evil. NDC does not believe in democracy. They believe in chaos. And we are law-abiding citizens. We in the MPP are Democrats. We believe in the rule of law, and that is why we calmly left the chamber for them. And we know that if we make our case well in court, the court will make a determination that would advance the cause of democracy.
But will Speaker Bagbin comply? And who is the majority in Parliament? The country watches as Parliament is expected to sit. But the chamber took us back to our primary school days as the NDC occupies the majority seat. For them, it is for the Speaker to say otherwise and not the Supreme Court. And what will Speaker say?
In accordance with Standing Orders 59, adjourn the House indefinitely. That is sine die.
With Parliament adjourned sine die and no declaration made, who then are the majority in Parliament?
Mr. Speaker, you reserve the right to be there to make your point. Let me make my point too. Mr. Speaker, no way. Mr. Speaker, no way. Mr. Speaker.
What do experts have to say about the 8th Parliament?
If we have learned anything from this parliament, then we should have another hung parliament, at least in this election. We need about this almost the next maybe 20 years. If our democracy is going to be any better, we need to still push it from parliament. And the only way we can do it is when we don't give overwhelming majority to one party in the House. And that is the only lesson we would have learned. If it goes back to the majoritarian in a direct sense, then we learned nothing. It would only mean that we are cowards and we are not ready to build this country.
Quoting Article 102 and Article 104, Mr. Speaker says he cannot do business without half of members of Parliament present. So he had to postpone Parliament sine die, that is, indefinitely. But the MPP caucus would have the chance of recalling Parliament as stated in Article 112. But they say Parliament Bako, majority be brave. For Joy News, my name is Anabuachi Dankwayado, Kumasi.
Now, still in Parliament, Ghana's 8th Parliament will be remembered for its historic milestone, including the election of an opposition member as Speaker and the implementation of a private member's bill. However, it also gained a reputation as the most intolerant, divisive and confrontational parliament in the Fourth Republic. Now, critics argue that instead of leveraging its nearly equal numbers to advance Ghanaian interests, it often prioritized partisan agendas on the parliamentary floor. Now, the second Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osei-Wusu, feels ashamed to be part of the 8th Parliament.
Let me say that I'm disappointed in the 8th Parliament, generally. I said it the other time that we have done very little in legislation. You can just take the number of laws and smaller legislations we have done. We've wasted so much time on inconsequential things, inconsequential matters. Our main job is making laws. I'd go and take the number of laws we have made in the last 4 years and compare with the other parliaments. And you see that the 8th Parliament has been the least. It's been full of controversy. Matters that previously we used to sit there and discuss and overcome and do, now we take them into fisticuffs. That is most disappointing to me. And the whole essence of democracy is to encourage people to exchange of the country. We cannot sit down on any matter to discuss and agree or agree to disagree. Where is our democracy? So I find our conduct very disappointing as a parliament.
So you view it as negative in terms of making history?
Well, all I'm saying is that I find our conduct as the 8th Parliament very disappointing. I've been in 4 parliaments. When you compare 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. 8th has been very disappointing. And I'm not pointing on any one person, I'm pointing at us as Parliament.
Now also, Member of Parliament for Ablekuma West, Esla Owusu, who is also the Minister for Communication, agrees.
I can't say I'm not concerned. And we're not an island. And I am concerned about the image that this 8th Parliament is creating for itself as the most chaotic Parliament that we've ever seen. And I think it's wrong and it is bad. And it doesn't do the image of Parliament any good. I don't think there is anything to be gained in rowdyism or fights on the floor of Parliament. And I'd urge the Speaker to sit with the leadership to ensure that, one, we can't say we will not respect decisions of the Supreme Court. How do we do that in such a way that we minimize the disruption to our work and let people also have confidence in the legislature as an institution? We call ourselves honorable members of Parliament. Our actions should also not debase the title that we put on ourselves, and our actions must also be honorable and not dishonorable. So I am a little concerned about the posturing that I read about and heard this morning. I'm on my way there, and I think it's time for cool heads to prevail and leadership to come together and send a clear signal that we can resolve our differences in a mature manner instead of resorting to violence, insults, and fisticuffs. That does no one any good. And we need to set a good example for the young people of this country. So let's deal with this challenge in a cool-headed manner. And at the end of the day, Parliament as an institution, our democracy will be the winner. If we don't, we would have done a great disservice, not just to ourselves, but to succeeding generations. And we'll go down in history as the worst Parliament, if not one of the worst, led by a speaker, because the speaker is supposed to bring order to the House. He doesn't want all this to degenerate under his watch. The manner in which he was sworn in, or he rose to this position, was acrimonious enough. We don't want him to end his tenure with another acrimonious situation. And I think it's incumbent on him to also let cool heads prevail.
But a former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Aaron Michael says the happenings in the 8th Parliament should be encouraged. He tells my colleague Elton Brobe that the true meaning of democracy is being felt in the conduct of the MPs.
We must be accommodating. And people will tell you my accommodation in that particular parliament. You know, there was a time when opposition members complained that they were being harassed by invitations to the police headquarters.
Right.
Over one case or the other, and then cameras will be following them. I wrote to the IGP then that this is a complaint of members of parliament. You investigate a case before you will know whether a person should even be charged at all. So I'm strongly in favor of the concern of the opposition. For that matter, I have a speaker's conference room here. If you want to interrogate anybody, write to me. In fact, they are protected under the Constitution.
Right.
Write to me. I will give you the opportunity to come and interrogate the person freely. But this kind of inviting them, embarrassing them, they are honorable members of parliament. I, as speaker, will not allow it.
From Parliament, Executive Director of Pen Plus Fight, Jerry Sum, has called on Ghanaian political parties to refrain from using disinformation and misinformation in their political advertising. Now, he emphasized that misleading information can heavily influence voters' decision and, if unchecked, may even incite violence as the election approaches. He urged party communicators to be cautious, avoiding content that could provoke tensions. Now, Jerry Sam shared these comments during the launch of the Voters' Manifesto in Accra.
First of all, they need to orient their people against the disinformation, and also show the adverse impacts or implication of disinformation. What happens is that it dilutes the information landscape. People don't have access to the right information, and it will affect their choices, which can even go around to come and harm they themselves. So first of all, they need to talk to their communicators, who are almost on a daily basis engaging people, that they shouldn't misinform. Because once you misinform, there's also a critical mass of people that, because of just your disinformation, do not come towards you or not take you serious as well. And the disinformation also has impact in terms of its likelihood of causing violence. Because if you keep on telling lies about me and I'm not happy, or the other political opponents are not happy, then the possibility of actually going violent and attacking physical also comes in, which is not good for our political landscape. And we want a peaceful elections, and disinformation does not inure to peaceful and credible elections.
Jerry Sam also noted significant improvements in this year's manifestos across political parties, comparing them favorably to previous ones. He highlighted the need for the media to hold parties accountable by pressing for specific outcomes of proposed policies to better guide voters' choices as elections approach.
We have seen is that this year's manifestos, compared to previous ones, this year's ones, most of the promises are quite feasible. They are doable. They are also becoming even more like an assurance, because they are able to tell us where they will find their source of funding from, and then also timelines, which is very, very important, because those without timelines, you can't hold them to account to it. So that's the difference now, that they are even moving more from aspirations or dreams to more of concrete promises or assurances. So that's a good thing for us. And as we keep on showing the sunshine, we've had other organizations doing citizens manifestos. We have organizations such as Pen Plus Byte who do post-elections accountability programs looking at manifestos. We believe that our leaders will now be more serious and conscious of what they promise, and know that people know what they are promising. And if they don't deliver, it's going to affect them in the next elections, because we have a reference base to it. And thanks to online platforms, social media, now all these promises are becoming almost, they are not being transient, which is, in the past was said on political party platforms or radio station, and you can't hold them to account. Now, most of them are written. Most of them are getting, visualizations and infographics out of them. What we are not seeing, which we hope we will see in the coming days, is where we can actually, or the media or civil society can ask them to give us outcomes of their promises. So you give us a promise and you let us know this is going to be the outcome of my promise.
The road to the Jubilee House is getting hotter with intense campaigns at all fronts, but not without some lighter moments. Now today, we throw it back to some legendary moments that cannot be forgotten anytime soon. Prince Kwame Kudoga has more in the following report.
The 2024 election campaign has seen its ups and downs, and some moments are just not easy to forget. Let's take you down memory lane to some of those not easy to be forgotten moments.
When I look at the economic management team, it is quite clearly a fantastic team. Professor Jambafo, Dr. Akotose, Dr. Afriye Akoto, Honorable Alan Chiramanting, Boachi Ejaku, Ken Oforiata, Senior Minister Yao Osafo Mafu. What a solid team.
What a solid team. What a solid team, Elia.
Then there was this.
I am a boy, Ghana. It is Picasso, or may you hear my. Then nam a memoir enquiet. I come there. I am a.
And ya bro from Quan cast slangs or more. Ye catch him for a cast slangs. Ghana, ye a mobile to do. Ghana ye mobododo. Ghana nye here mine. Yet is the castle. I come there.
I mean, I'm not holding Oka the Oka. Namuni Mabikunti Okasa. The campaign at Tosio.
And we hope you have not forgotten about this, right?
President Kufuor to call retirement. Not even the Mr. Kesiri who said a freestyle education Ghana from 1957. Ebekane, the new president be our Ghana Chen and Abdul Kufuor. Messi a freestyle 1957. Bekane, mo form of Kwame Nkrumah no, mo form of Obia di wa abedi mampanya. What book Ghana who buy any Ghana call a name China Nadu Dankwa Akufuado. You dare not compare yourself to Nkrumah. Don't try. Ezu, mo person mo ye comparison na. Mo de mama fan ko Nkrumah so. Mahama oheya.
But it's far from over. Take a listen to this.
Otherwise, if I do everything now, if I could, what would I do when I come into office? I mean, how can you do everything now?
Like AK-47. Suddenly, media encounter. I think.
And the jobs were flying all over.
Competent Mahama administration. MPP is going to come and transform Ghana in 1.5 years. When we come, we'll give you one district, one factory.
The 2024 election campaign will go down in history as one of the most memorable for so many reasons, and moments like this just cannot be forgotten. Prince Kwame Kudoge's report for Joy News.
On that note, we'll be back after this one. Please stay. Welcome back. Now, the Mining Committee of the National Democratic Congress has reiterated the political party's intention to convert degraded galamsey sites into viable agricultural lands. Now, it will involve implementation of what they call Tree for Life reforestation policy, which will ensure the cultivation of cash crops on reclaimed lands. The Blue Water Initiative, which forms part of the restoration policy, will aim at ensuring resuscitating river bodies affected by the menace. Nana Yaojima has been touring some mining communities with the NDC team and has filed this report.
The evidence of the harm caused to the environment through illegal mining remains visible in affected areas. Aside from the destruction of water bodies, the ecology and quality of soil in these areas are under threat. Despite the potential of degraded lands regaining their quality when restored, little has been done by government in this area. In ensuring farmers whose lands were taken for mining are restored, the NDC has made a manifesto promise to restore the degraded lands for agriculture purposes. Cocoa, palm, and rubber are among trees targeted for the initiative. The committee campaigning in mining communities continue to introduce the miners to a water restoration initiative dubbed Blue Water Initiative. Michael Kwadjopepra is a member of the committee.
We need a change, and a change that would help bring about the responsible mining in this country. People who are mining with impunity, people who are not covering their various pits. With the manifesto of the NDC, it has captured that reclamation will be the order of the day. And two, people who have not been able to acquire their licenses, as a matter of fact, we are going to decentralize the acquisition of license. So it comes to bear the fact that they are thinking about the solution, a long-term solution, and a solution that will benefit Ghanaians.
Meanwhile, the committee has been explaining the party's intention to recategorize mining into small scale, medium scale, and large scale. A member of the NDC, Samuel Hajo, explaining the manifesto to miners, said there is no intention to cease small-scale mining.
NDC is a party that thinks about the future. So we're looking at the best way of making sure that we get all these activities well organized so that we protect the environment. And NDC's manifesto has outlined a whole lot of ideas or things that we put in place to make sure that we don't destroy the environment. Because when you go to a mining site, you should have a whole lot of things in place. The best mining practices should be observed in terms of making sure that the people working there are doing it responsibly.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Ashanti Region.
Many thanks for joining us today on Election Brief with me, MFA Akosia Adati. For more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. Thank you. Bye-bye.